What up, nerds? My name is Leslie Smith and welcome to the Nerdy Narrative. On this channel, I like to talk about all sorts of bookish related things in many genres. I'm talking science fiction, fantasy, horror, manga, comics, non-fiction, literary fiction, classics, you name it, I'll read it. The genre we're going to dip our toes in on today's episode of fun is going to be science fiction. I'm going to talk to you about Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. I have finally, after all these years, read this book. I say all these years, like it's been out forever. I believe this was published in 2011. I was recommended this book many times over the years, and I never got around to it. I did watch the movie though, and I liked the movie. And I'm gonna go ahead and admit to you that I would rather rewatch the movie than I would reread the book. Now, that's not to say that I did not enjoy this book. I absolutely enjoyed this book. I gave it 4 stars, in fact. I loved it. I loved my journey. But I think I loved the memories that this book brought back to the forefront more than the story itself, if that makes any kind of sense at all. I really love this cover. It's very simplistic, and it's got the little 8-bit guy reaching up for the 8-bit key. But what really hacks me off is that stupid fake sticker that says now a major motion picture. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. If somebody is going to buy this book because they saw the movie first, they already know it is a major motion picture. For somebody picking it up that maybe didn't know it was a movie, they're not going to care it's a movie because bookworms know the movie is almost never on par with the book. It's usually not even close. Most oftentimes it is a travesty that they want to forget existed. But it doesn't matter what kind of bookworm you are. That's a no-no. Just awful. I feel like I'm the only person on BookTube that had not read Ready Player One, and I read it because it was a patron pick for the month of February. And how that works is my 2 top tiers of patrons, I have a little wheel of names that I spin. And whoever's name it lands on, that person gets to pick any book they want for me to read and review on the channel. And for the month of February, that landed, wait, what month am I in? March. And for the month of February, it landed on Victoria from A Musical Bookworm, and that's the book that she chose, which was fantastic because I actually had Ready Player One and Ready Player Two on my TBR for this year. So it just got moved up, which was perfect. So many people had told me you're gonna love this book. It is a throwback to the 80s, which of course is my favorite decade. I absolutely love the 80s. Everything about the 80s. The music, the clothes, the hair, the hairspray. Not really, I didn't care about the hairspray. But just the music, the movies, I still love all of those things. I still listen to 80s music. I still watch the 80s movies. It's just timeless. It is a timeless decade in my opinion. And that's also the decade when I first got introduced to gaming. I will never forget when I was 6 years old, my dad gave my brother and I an Atari 2600. I still have an Atari. I don't have it out. I'll show you guys a picture of all of my gaming consoles, but Chris and I collect all of the old retro gaming consoles. We've got the Sega, the Dreamcast, the GameCube, Super Nintendo, the top loader. I have my original Nintendo, all of the games I ever had. And I mean, we have a ton of stuff. We don't have everything because I don't see the Atari up there. That's when I got introduced to gaming. I sat for hours in front of the TV playing Pac-Man, Pitfall, Frogger, and I think it was Alien Invasion, Space Invaders, where you just go across the bottom of the screen and you shoot the little aliens, and then Pong. I loved those games. I played for hours. That's something that never changed as I grew up. Favorite console after the Atari was the original Nintendo. I have so many hours of my life wrapped up in gaming. But I digress. Let's get back to the book. The book is like a big video game. This innovator, Holiday, who created this virtual world, the Oasis, where you put on the little helmet and you are in this world. You would go to this world to go to school and work, and you could just spend all the time you wanted in this world. So Holiday dies, and it comes out that he has left his fortune to this one person this one person who can crack these riddles, these codes, get through these 3 gates, that person will inherit his fortune and control of the oasis. And so you have these millions of people competing against each other. And 5 years goes by and nobody has gotten anywhere. There's no names on the scoreboard. And then until finally, one day our main character is finally able to put together the clue for the first gate. And he gets on the scoreboard. And so that just reignites everyone's competitiveness to play this game, to solve this riddle. And of course, you've got this big corporation that is got all of these people that are competing, because basically the race is, you've got people who love the oasis and don't want it snapped up by a corporation who's going to make it basically pay to play. And then of course the corporation that wants their hands on the fortune, you know, just change the whole system the way it is and just change everything that makes life bearable for these folks, because it's a post-apocalyptic world. I mean, our main character lives in a trailer stack. I mean, there's like 15 to 20 trailers stacked on top of each other. And it just sounds, it just sounds like a terrible world, and nobody wants to be in real life. They all want to be in the oasis. Their oasis is their escape from their reality. You know, so you have our cast of characters, they're competing against one another, trying to solve the riddles, get the keys, get through the gates. And it's just this big race of puzzles. It was a very fun journey in that I loved reading about the things from the 80s that I had forgotten about. TV shows, movies, lines from those movies, the things that people wore. It was so nostalgic for me, and I loved it for that. I loved what it did and that it brought back memories for me, where I was in my life when I watched that show. And so that just made it a really good experience for me. I don't think the story was that great. I don't. It was okay. I'm glad I read it. And you know, while I enjoyed the book and the walk down memory lane, I don't think I'll ever feel the urge to reread this book. It just doesn't have any reread capability for me. And like I said at the beginning of the video, I would rather rewatch the movie than reread the book. I do have Ready Player 2 here to read at some point. I hope to get to that soon while the first one's still fresh in my mind. But I literally have seen no good reviews for Ready Player 2. I have 2 friends that said they liked it, but for the most part, people did not like it. It did not get a good reception at all, which kind of really puts it low on my priority of things to get to. And so just depending on how that goes, I might end up having to reread Ready Player 1 in preparation for that. Those are my subjective opinions in a nutshell about Ready Player 1. If you've read this book, let me know how your experience was in the comments down below. Does it have reread capability for you? What did you like most about it? Did you like the story, or did you like the nostalgia that it reminded you of and brought back to the surface? Hit me up down below. I'd love to hear from you. As always, thank you so much for watching today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope your morning has started off well, and I hope the rest of your day is absolutely fantastic. I'll see you soon.